So today I'm here to represent our company Moose Group, our residential division that deals with renovation and basement construction. I'm here today to cover a couple of questions that you might have. That's why you're probably here. So we'll be talking about project management, general contractors, and what difference there is between hiring a general contractor and a regular contractor who just do one trade. Okay? So let's start with a question: what is the role of the project manager in construction project? So the project manager is the key person in your renovation or construction project. As the professional who leads and oversees all activities and delegates and makes sure the time frames is in order and take care of your designs and keeps in mind the whole project, right? So, but who is project manager for you as the homeowner? This is the question probably that's in your head, right? Why do I need a project manager? Why can't I do it myself? So project manager on a job site is your best friend, actually. So it's the person who you can come and address all your questions, needs, and concerns, and the person who's always in your corner, who makes sure that the quality and delivery of your project is on time, and who will be there for you to make sure that the tradesmen do 100%. Okay? Is there any questions would you like to ask? No? Okay.
Sorry, I have one.
Sure.
Would it be better to have your own general contractor or a contractor that's affiliated with the company that's doing the renovation?
So from my point of view, of course, being in an industry since I was very, very young, and that's the only thing I do, I think it's best to hire a company that will manage, design, and take your project from A to Z. We'll be talking about it in my actually next question. This way you can ensure you only have basically one person responsible, and it's easier to hold an accountability, let's put it this way, between running not to run in a situation, you know, he said, she said, and I did not understand, where you have somebody who takes care of the project and this is the only person you talk to, and he makes sure that everything runs smooth. So I think it's better, answering to your question, to hire a general contractor who will hire all your trades or bring their own. That's usually the case because they have companies they work with on a daily basis and they trust them. That's why I think it's best to hire GC versus trying to manage yourself. Does that cover? Yeah, thank you. The next question I wanted to cover, the difference between general contractors and regular contractor, right? So regular contractor, which in an industry called subcontractor, is a person or a company that have specific skill, let's say electricians or plumbers, and they do only one thing day to day, only that. Versus the general contractor is the company or a person, right, that takes care of all the business aspect of the project, or working with architects and designers and making sure that the project flows. So this is the difference between hiring someone who does the actual job with their hands or just do one trade, because usually the subcontractors, they're very, very good in what they do, but they usually don't have enough skill or a skill set to oversee and see the final picture of the whole project. So they do their one thing and they leave, right? And they, let's be honest, they don't really care about the next trade that comes in after them. They do it, they're done, they left, and then if you don't have a GC who manages the whole project, you're left with what they left and you have to think how to make it work. So this is the difference between general contractor and subs. And that's why, again, coming back to your question, we recommend to hire general contractor versus subs. This will cover all the gaps in the project and make sure that it flows, right? And it's a smooth sailing, let's put it this way. The last question for today I wanted to cover is permits. This is a very interesting question because homeowners wonder usually, do I need a permit? What kind of permits there is? And should I apply for one, or I can just do my renovation because I want to, right? So there is several types of permits you can apply for. The major building permit you should apply for in these cases. I'll go one by one so you know. So if you would like to construct and build over 10 square feet or enlarge your property more than 10 square foot, you have to apply for building permit. If you would like to do any renovation or repairs to the building, which includes structural changes, you must apply for the building permit. If you would like to excavate or construct the foundation, or change of use of building from, let's say, commercial to residential, vice versa, or split it from single house to duplex, you must apply for the permit. And if you would like to construct a seasonal building as well, and decks at this point, you must apply for the permit as well. This is what building permits are, right? They allow us to do the stuff we need, the modification we would like to our properties, and we have to submit those drawings and our intentions to the city to get back the feedback if it's allowed or not, and get the permit, and then we proceed with the renovations. There is also permits that are dedicated to each and every aspect of the project. Let's say electrical and plumbing permits, right? It doesn't matter what renovation you do or what you would like to do in your house. If you're adding one plug or you're adding 10 pot lights, we will still encourage you to get the permit. Not the building permit, but ESA permit. This is with electrical authority. Your electrician should be master electrician, and he will apply for the permit for you, right? This way they know that the job was done right. They'll send an inspector, and you have a peace of mind for you and for your insurance companies as well. So that's pretty much it for the permits and building permits. Yes, please.
So what about condos? Condos have any specific kind of permits?
Great question, because actually our company, we have a division that deals strictly with condos, Know Your Reno. So condos are tricky business. First of all, you have to, if you do any renovation inside the property, even though you don't do any structural changes, you must apply for the permit. But you apply not with the city of Toronto or which city you might be, right? You apply with your management company. So you have to submit your intentions with drawings and all the specification of the project to the management company. So management company can give you a go-ahead right away, or they can tell you that they would like to present it to the board. Board can have a sitting every 1 or 3 months. So there is a time frame for you to get the permission from them. However, if you want to change any structural or add or delete any plumbing points in your condo, you would have to go for the building permit with the city. And after you receive that permit, you would have to submit that to your management corporation. And they still can tell you no. If the city gives you a go ahead, but your board decided that they don't want you to do this changes to the building, they can tell you no. So the last word is always with a management company and a board of directors. My pleasure. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. ESA, Electrical Safety Authority organization, they deal only with electrical. Okay, and your electrician or a company electrical contractor you hire should let you know right away that you need to open a permit, and they will open it using your name and address, and you'll have your permit number. There is 2 inspections, roughing and finishings, that you must undertake in terms of getting this all wrapped up properly. You can actually ask your contractor, electrical contractor, to do it for you. Unless you're doing work yourself in your house, then you can call Electrical Safety Authority and they will guide you through the process. But I encourage you to hire an electrician to do a professional work.
But the building permit,
Yes.
I should apply?
No, if you do only electricals, then you don't need a building permit. The ESA is sufficient. If you do renovations, that you must apply for the building permit. So if your renovation is not vast, meaning you're not moving walls, you're just doing, that will go through the fast track. That will only take 10 business days for you to do the permit. So it's not the huge hassle you're signing for, right? So that's why we encourage you to do it. Yeah. Take your time. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. You can apply through the city as the homeowner yourself. Yeah. Please.
For planting, do you need any special assessment as well for permit?
Okay, if you're doing the renovation project, right, and the plumbing is part of your building permit, city will send a separate inspector to check on your plumbing. So you'll have a structural inspector checking on structural work, and then plumbing inspector will come and assign your plumbing work. Yeah.
So what if you're not doing any other structural work, if it's just plumbing? Could you go through that still through the city, or is that?
Well, it's tricky. If you're not adding any new plumbing points, you're just doing, let's say, rearrangement of existing or just changing a faucet, just hire a professional plumbing company and that would be enough. That's sufficient. If you want to add a washroom in a building where there is no washroom, then you still need to apply for a building permit, and that answers the question with the inspector coming out and checking everything. Somebody else? Okay, well, if there is no more question, it's been a great pleasure. Again, my name is Mark from Moose Group. If you ever need anything, it's super easy. Just remember Moose. And then you can reach us out. We'll be happy to answer any question for you. Okay, thank you again.
Hi everyone. My name is Mina and welcome to the mini event that we are doing at the Improve Center. Hope you can get a lot of information from these sessions. I'm an interior design professional. My unit is unit number 25, Azure Design Studio, or Designed by Azure if you're looking for my name on Instagram. Today we are going to talk about how designers and contractors can work together in a project. So the answer to this question is one word, it's hardly. Designers and contractors can hardly work together on a project if not picked properly. So make sure when you are interviewing all these trades and teams, make sure that their personality, their professionality, they all matches with each other and with yourself, so the whole process can go smoother. But if you are bringing these two teams together, work on one project, the project will be a wonderful success at the end. So the first thing that I want to cover is that the space planning, that contractors and designers, which one can do what in terms of space planning for you. So designers, in the beginning of the project, they meet you in your house, they evaluate your needs, and then they will talk to you about how much space you need to put for inside each room. So at that stage, you may be able, you may need to move a few walls, partitions, and that's when contractors comes and tell you if you are able actually to move these walls. If they're load bearing, they need to bring structural engineers to take a look at the space, but we work together to make that space planning happen and give you enough space for the task that you need to do in those rooms. The next one is the budgeting and timeline. So both teams are responsible in keeping an eye on the budget and timeline. But how designers does that is that they, designers and contractors, they both provide you with a code in the beginning of the project of how much their services are gonna cost. and how much all the other relevant finishes, trades are going to cost in one project. So they have to keep in mind that to keep this scope of work within the budget, but we always ask clients to have a contingency plan in mind. So if like 20% over budget is going to be a breaking deal for them, so they don't even start until they have enough contingency in place for the project. So they both keep an eye on project budget, timeline, if there's any changes with the shortages these days and delays and everything, if there's any timeline changes, they both need to connect with the client and communicate and come up with solutions. Sometimes just replacing one faucet with another faucet will solve the issue, but sometimes there are bigger issues that can't get solved this way. The other way that designers and contractors collaborate together in a project is when they want to project manage the project. So they both offer project management, but the contractor is the person who is mostly on the project site. Keep an eye on all trades, make sure everything goes smooth, as my friend Mike was talking about, make sure all the trades doing proper work, they clean up after themselves, they're safe in a safe environment. But designers also do site visits weekly, twice a week, or bi-weekly. It depends on the phase of the project. And then make sure that the design that they created is being built properly and there's no miscommunication between the drawings and the what trades are building in the space. To give you an idea how our design firm works is that we work in 3 phases, and the first phase is the consultation. That's when contractor is most of the time is not involved. Second phase is the design phase. That's when we hire contractors for consulting us to know if the load-bearing wall can be removed for that portion of the work that needs to get done before the design package is created. And then the third phase is the implementation. That's exactly when all of this design is going to get implemented in this space and project is going to be finished. So that's basically is a brief of how these two can work together. And if you have any question, I'm more than happy to answer. I guess I... Go ahead, yeah.
When you want to do a project and you want to have a new design of your condo, let's say. So what I can understand is that you're recommending that we talk first with the designer to see what we can do, and then we'll reach a contractor?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm recommending you, yeah. Because sometimes, for instance, when we are building a house, there are architects and contractors, all they think about is having like symmetrical facet of the building, 2 windows side by side, facet of the building looks nice. But in terms of inside, there's no space to build a TV unit inside. If we move that window by 2 inches, then we can have enough space to build that TV unit. So the best way to do it is to get consultation from designers in the beginning, and then we work with architects, contractors, and all the trades all the time at the same time to be able to have a nicer finished and completed project.
Any other questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nana.
What's the cost of hiring a designer? I'm sure it depends on how big the project is, but like just for me to get some idea.
So it exactly depends on the scope of project. If it's a new build, it's a renovation. If it's a condo, it's a basement. But to give you an idea of our design firm, and different people can have different fees. in our design firm, it's between $3,000 to $5,000 per room. And it gives you a complete working drawing of the space, 3D of your space. Before you even touch the space, you will see the 3D of the space and how it's going to look like. All the finishes is being picked beforehand, and we communicate the whole package to the contractor to make it happen. But before we start doing this design package, we always offer a discovery call, which is a complimentary service. We go through our design process with the contractor, and they exactly know what they get from the design package.
Yes, sir?
Did you say between $3,000
Yes,
per room?
per room, yes. Believe me, there are a lot of details of creating the
Per room?
per room.
What if it's a basement and it's just one room? That's just, that would stay one.
Exactly, we can come and take a look at the scope of work, and if there is anything that is like less scope of work, we can always work out numbers.
And what if it was just a consultation, if I just wanted to get an idea of something?
Yeah. So that is like $500 per 2 hour of walkthrough of your space, and it's going to be one charge.
$500 for 2 hours.
Yes. And then we will give you a complete scope of work with the, which is like a report. Then you know what areas you need to tackle on, what needs
So you give
to
us
get.
ideas of what, how to,
Yes.
best space,
Correct.
ideas and so on.
Correct.
2
Correct.
hours is $500.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. And that $3,000 to $5,000 is going to get done in like 6 to 8 weeks of work.
Right, per room.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I can't hear you, sorry. So usually contractors help with the permits. Clients can do it themselves as well if they prefer to. The best person to ask is Mark from Moose, but we don't do building permits. Designers don't do.
So maybe you doing the design,
Uh-huh.
you give the homeowner a drawing, then
Yes.
you would submit for it.
Yes, correct. Yes, there has to be a drawing to get submitted to the city.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. First, I'd like to add, I don't see any problems with the price range. The way I see it is that there's different tiers or different levels of service. So my real question is, what kind of building should I own? Would it make sense to go through with a designer like Azure so that I would get the money back when I resell? That's what I'm really looking for. Should it be a townhouse, or should I start with at least 2 garages and up? What type of house would it make sense?
I think that's a question that more of real estate agents and financial advisors can help you with. But in my case, there are a lot of people who are renovating for their own use. So they take out a kitchen that is in perfect condition. It's beautiful, and they are putting it back newer, and they need us to make it more functional for them. But in terms of, I think in terms of getting profit back, it needs to be discussed with real estate agents and financial.
All right. I guess that's it with questions. No more questions? Thank you, Mina, so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome.
All right, hello everyone. Hope everyone's having a great weekend so far. My name is Arya. I'm from Surfaces for All Purposes, just unit 374 down the hall. So I want to talk a bit about general contractors, individual contractors, and when is it best to use a general contractor or individual contractors, and also to go over some tips before hiring a general contractor. So when it comes to a general contractor, we can look at a general contractor as someone that's conducting an orchestra. So the single trade can be seen as the musicians, whereas the general contractor can be seen as the person that's making sure the transition between the trades and their tasks are being done smoothly. So for instance, If we have one task, for example, if you want to do interlock or flooring, or if it's just a single task, in many cases you can use a single trade. But when it comes to even 2 tasks or 3 tasks, you want to make sure that every work is prepared for the next trade to come in and do their part. In many cases, what a general contractor can do is preventative measures. So let's say, for example, someone's installing cabinets, and then someone else is coming afterwards to install the countertops. Now, you might have an issue at the end where you see the countertop isn't leveled, the cabinet isn't leveled, and afterwards, if you come to do the root cause analysis, you see that there was initially something wrong with the cabinet, or even with the initial framing that was done, the initial layout. But if you have someone with experience, like a general contractor, they've been in these cases before, so they can make sure that preventative measures are done and everything is done perfectly, so that when the next trade does their part, we don't have that underlying problem. And then afterwards, there's going to be unnecessary cost when you have to fix problems. But if those preventative measures are taken, you're reducing your costs, and everything goes hand in hand smoothly after one another. And another thing that happens in these scenarios is that you have a blaming game. So every trade says, no, it wasn't my fault, it was the cabinet guy's fault. The cabinet guy says, no, it wasn't my fault, the wall wasn't level. But if you have someone that has seen every component of the job done before, they can work hand in hand to get everything done properly. For example, even for a fireplace with large slabs, we have the framing, we have the drywall, then comes the installer that has to install the large slabs. It's important for the framing to be leveled, the drywall to be leveled. So, for example, if you just hire someone that does framing, hire someone else that does the drywall, and then hire a tile installer for your large slabs, you might run into some problems because there was no communication between the trades. So one thing that's very important is to have communication between the trades. And the contractor's job is to do that, is to make sure there's communication between the trades and to make sure the handoff is done properly again. So how do you know who's a good contractor? Well, one way to know is to look at their portfolio, look at the type of projects they do. Even when it comes to individual contractors, for example, in our business with large slabs, a lot of people say we install tiles, but when it comes to different tiles, different thicknesses, different sizes, you need someone that's specialized in that size that they're using and the thickness they're using to avoid any damage or risk. And that's where it's good to work with someone that does everything A to Z, that can stand behind their product, that can stand behind the installation, and who can also make sure that all the previous work is done properly to prepare the installation of the slabs, for example, in this case. So it's good to speak to multiple contractors before you want to start your project to make sure what scope of work they're giving you, what scope of work are they quoting you on, how are the quotes structured differently. And that can give you more perspective as to the big picture that every individual contractor is looking at. So check their portfolio, check their online reviews, check the type of projects they do, get multiple quotes. And when you talk to these contractors, you can pose different questions to each and one of them, and they'll have different methods of problem solving. So you can see which one is a better problem solver that can help you with your project. So overall, that's what I wanted to talk about today, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to send them my way. Any questions? Yeah?
By the way, great presentation. I appreciated that. A lot of great information in that short time. Now, the general contractor, do they work with a project schedule and a timeline where they're actually making sure that each of these trades get in on time and reviewing their work and getting out? And does the end client, say for example me, look at that project schedule and I can also track their progress?
Exactly, that's a great question that you ask, and you're right. So that's an important part of what the general contractor is doing. Managing budgets is one thing, but managing the timeline is another thing. You don't want there to be any gaps between the different trades. So if there's just individual trades doing their jobs, it's going to be chaos because you have to look for the next person, then the next person is going to come in and say, well, hey, he hasn't done this part of the work, he hasn't done that part. So I can't put my tile down, I can't do whatever.
I get a copy of the project schedule, like the GC will give me a copy, and the GC is working off a copy of the project schedule?
That's pretty much how it's done. But usually in construction, there can be some delays with getting material or different sorts of things. So that's going to be very approximate. But for sure, that's the job of a general contractor to make sure everything's on schedule, to give you an idea of what that schedule is going to look like so there aren't any major surprises down the road for the client. Any other questions? Yeah.
You mentioned there are two types of contractors, right? General and individual?
Individual, yeah.
So what's the difference between the two?
So the general contractor has an idea of the different trades and the different work that's being done, and they have experience in those fields. So for example, the general contractor knows about the framing, knows about the drywall, knows about the tile installation, and also he knows different individual contractors that work in those fields. So he has a crew that he's been working with on different projects, and they can match those people together. For example, if a customer or someone wants to do this themselves, they have to start from scratch and find someone that works with framing, someone that works with drywall, with tile, and they might not match each other. Not even personality, but the type of work they do and the levels they are might not match each other. But a general contractor makes sure everyone is on the same page, so all the different trades are on the same page. And they should have some level of experience in all of those fields so they can do the quality control necessary after every part of the work is done.
So if you just have one project, for example, you just want to renovate your bathroom, you just need an individual contractor?
Well, for a bathroom renovation, there's many components that come to part. So you have the demolition, gutting out. You have, for example, if you want to remove the bathtub, build a standing shower base, you want to have a vanity installed, you want to have a toilet installed, and then, for example, if you want to have a large format tile or any size tile on the floor, on the wall, all of these that I just mentioned can be done by different contractors that are specialized in this. Now, some companies, like for example, our company, we're specialized in working with large format slabs, but also we do general contracting. So we have different teams as well that are under our company that work with from A to Z in a bathroom renovation, for example, that can do from demolition to tile installation to supply of tiles. So even a bathroom renovation can be very tricky. So I'd say a general contractor can be of tremendous help in that case.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So with payments, is that general contractor you pay just him and he takes care of everything?
That's another very good point. Yeah.
It's just what is it contract? You pay separately for each service that's provided?
So that's another good thing about a general contractor. They become your go-to person and the person you have to deal with. As if we're working with different contractors, you would have to make sure you know the payment, everything for that person, then deal with the other person, A, B, C, D. Exactly. So they make your headache less. They tell you what you should expect in terms of the cost, and they're your go-to person that you have to deal with for payment as well.
So you just pay the general contractor for everything?
That's the idea. So the general contractor then has to deal with the subcontractors to make sure they get paid and everything is properly managed.
Just the general contractor?
Yeah.
Can you do a percentage payment? Like if you have 10% complete, 50% complete or whatever, and then paid on the percentage complete? Or do you have to pay the whole thing all at once?
Well, it depends on the project, and it also depends on the company you're working with. Every company has their own terms and their conditions for payment. But generally, where they take a deposit beforehand so they can secure the materials for you, and a part of the work can start, and then throughout the project we get the additional payments.
Yeah, because sometimes you give somebody some money and then they take off and your job never gets done.
Yeah.
This is part of homes, right, homes problem, right? That's why your show got, like, you know,
Yeah.
so popular, because there are a lot of general
Of
contractors
course.
out there who just take your money and go, and your work never gets done. So if you pay on a percentage complete basis, and you're working with someone with some integrity, then that would be something that would be really good.
Yeah, so it's very important to make sure the contractor you're working with is reliable and someone you can trust, of course.
Ask for the project schedule.
Yeah.
Not, you know, months and months of delays.
Absolutely.
We faced that same problem when we were doing our renovations.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah, I know how much of a headache that can be. But you know, with how we work, we have different phases of getting the payment. It's not all at the beginning. That wouldn't be fair to the customer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you normally sign a contract then?
Pardon?
You normally would sign a contract with a contractor or a company like yours so that the project will not be left hanging in the air?
Yeah. So you have to sign a contract and then make sure you understand every component, and that's why I say it's good to get different quotes to see what different people are promising you. Maybe some people won't give you any promises. Words don't mean anything until you actually get the quotation, you get the invoice, you get the contract, and you have to look at their work, because even if they have something in the contract, things can go wrong in different ways, and it's hard to chase after people after something goes wrong.
Is there still a practice of, say, keeping a certain percentage of the work until it's been done for about a month after that you're satisfied, and then you pay the balance? You know, you keep a percentage of the whatever contract you signed up on.
You know, again, depends on the company. Maybe some companies work like that, I don't know. But usually after the work is done, there are certain warranties that companies give. And usually the final process of payment is after the work is done. So, yeah. Yeah?
So I heard that, I think you said there's different types of general contractors. So there may be one that specializes in custom home building, another renovation of bathrooms, things like that. How would you look for a contractor in that specific area? Is it in the directory, or like how would I look for someone?
So I don't remember saying that, but maybe I don't remember. But yeah, general contractors, you have to work with different companies, see different companies, their projects. And just looking at someone's projects, you can see what type of work they do mainly. So if someone you see in their portfolio, they're only doing bathroom, and they want to do your office area, that's a little iffy. For example, if you just look at their portfolio, you can get the idea of what type of work they do, and just by talking to them and talking to a few people in that area. That's a very general answer, but I guess depends on the specific case you're looking at. Like,
So I have another question.
yeah.
So you mentioned about, so you just mentioned about looking at their portfolio, checking, I guess, the work they've done before. So, you know, I watch a lot of my home shows. So you go to the reference and you see the outside, but how do you know they did all the work? Because like the project built, as well as what type of warranty you get, like what's the general, I guess, process in terms of warranty when you deal with general contractors, something you guys go wrong?
Generally, it's good to get a warranty for the workmanship and labor, and ask about the material that you're getting, and just make sure you're getting the good material. And in terms of the workmanship, well, you have to go into detail to see the projects they've done. For us, we have a showroom where our own installers, our own professional large format installers have worked there, and every detail of the work can be seen from our showroom. That's how we showcase our work. Different companies have different ways of presenting their work. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you went into detail into the work of every, of the person you're working with, to make sure you know overall what quality of work you're going to be getting. And looking at reviews is also going to help. But that's generally it. You have to look at the project. Yeah.
Is there a regulatory body that you know, contractors are under so that we don't get burned? So like, because you know your trade and your thing, but the general population doesn't know the first thing about contracting and all that. Is there a regulatory body that you can go to and say, oh, well, this contractor is covered and they're safe to use? Because I've seen enough my home shows to know that there's a lot of garbage out there.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I mean, we're afraid to hire anybody for any project because we know nothing.
In terms of regulatory bodies, it's a good question, but if you want, I can grab your information and I can talk to you more about that after this presentation. I'm not sure about that at this moment. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, let's say I wanted to do my kitchen, or whatever, 50K, whatever.
Yeah.
How much would general contractors actually charge you monthly for that? What's the pricing structure usually?
Well, when it comes to a kitchen, there's so many different components. So not even the cabinet. If you look at the countertop, it can be porcelain, it can be quartz. Quartz has a lot of different brands, different ranges, and the price can vary a lot. So it can vary.
How would a general contractor charge you that way? For them to bring in the cabinet people, the plumbers, the whatever, the people?
It's something that I can't answer until I haven't seen the specific project, because like I said, there's a lot of different components that play into it. The size of the kitchen, how many slabs of quartz do you need, what type of quartz do you need, what type of cabinetry are you using.
So there's no rule of thumb like 5% of the cost?
No, not really, no. Yeah, it depends on a project-to-project basis. There's no one fit for all.
Scammer contractors, they come, they get the post and they run away. What is his recommendation to avoid this kind of situation? Like, what is the safest?
Well,
any specific contract or any specific paper that you can get it signed from a contractor so you're safer or something? Any recommendation?
Practically speaking, even with contracts with place, things may go wrong because at the end of the day, they're human. Everyone's human and everyone has their own problems. But the main thing is to speak to different people, sign a contract with the person that you're working with. And just by speaking to people, and 3 different people at least, you can get an idea about how much the person knows in depth about the project they're doing, how much experience they've had.
Good afternoon, everyone. We started in the morning, and now it's afternoon. You heard my name. I've been renovating Canadian homes for, gosh, almost 30 years. So I've learned a few things during that time. I am still learning, and I am happy to share what I've learned in 2 areas that I'm dedicated today to discuss, which is what questions to ask a renovator before you hire him, and what should be included in a contract. I don't do public speaking a lot. I mostly build things and renovate things, so I apologize if I don't make things clear. And if you guys have a question as I'm rambling, just raise your hand or something you need clarification, or I'll stop and I will explain what I mean, okay? So I actually have a question to you. Who do you think should be asking more questions? Your renovator or contractor to you, or you to him? Contractor to you. Good, okay. Why do you say that?
Because we don't know what you don't know.
depending on the contractor, to let you know.
All right, good point. Anybody else thinks differently? Should you be asking him a lot of questions? Both. I agree. It's mutual, two-way road. You have to ask just as many questions as he would ask you. And the reason for that is that, unfortunately, our industry is unregulated. What that means is that, to you, that anybody can be a contractor. He buys a pickup truck, a pouch, a hammer, and he's a contractor. And he's a legitimate contractor. When you go to see a doctor, when you have a problem, right? You don't ask a doctor, hey, what school did you go to? How many years did you do studying? What kind of exams did you pass? You don't ask that because you know, if it's a legitimate doctor, that he's gone through proper training, he's gone through the system, and you feel safe that this guy or girl will take care of you. They will not harm you because they've gone through proper training and exams and tests, and it's not like that in our industry at all. When you're dealing with a contractor, you have no clue. Any renovation can be harmful. It can actually make things worse than they were before if it's not done properly. So, how do you make sure that your contractor is going to do a good job for you? There's no other way, guys, just to ask questions. You should be asking your contractor tons of questions because nobody else does it for you. The government doesn't do it for you. The system doesn't do it for you. Unfortunately, the onus is on you to understand who's going to be good for you, who's not. And the only way is to ask questions. So, in my company, we have a collection of good questions to ask a contractor. And I believe Improve will put it in the bags. But here's a collection. If you want, just grab one. You can grab one from our unit. It's just on our desk. You can come in, grab it, and it's free. But today I will focus on 5 questions that I would, because my time is limited, I can talk a lot of questions, but 5, the main questions that I would recommend you to ask your contractor before hiring him. And the first question would be, how many jobs similar to yours has this contractor completed in the last 3 years? Every job is different. Basements, bathrooms, kitchens, additions, new homes. They're all different and they all require different skill set. If contractor tells you, oh, I can do it all. It's like the same when you come to a doctor with a specific problem and doctor says, yeah, I can take care of everything. Your knee hurts, yeah, I can take care. Your heart hurts, sure, I can do it. Your headache, I can do that as well. What would you think about the doctor? Is he going to do a good job for you? No, of course, we go to see specialists. If we have problem with heart, we go to see cardiologist. If we have problem with back, we have to go to see sport medicine doctor, right? If we have problem with skin, we go to a specialist. The same thing with contractors. If contractor specializes on bathrooms and he doesn't do anything else, gosh, he must be really good at it, because that's what he does every day. If somebody does kitchens, only kitchens, he must be really good. If somebody does kitchens and bathrooms and this and that and commercial and residential and offices and basements, and he builds homes, by the way, my gosh, is he really good at what he's doing? So the first question, how many projects similar to mine have you done in the last 3 years? That will give you an idea. Does he know what he's doing? Is he experienced? Is he going to do a good job for me? The next thing you would ask, how many of these projects, assuming that he's done a few and you see, okay, I might be in good hands here, how many of them were completed on time? The next question you would ask, okay, good, they're all completed on time. How many of the clients from these projects are on your reference list? Every reputable contractor should have a reference list of his past clients that you could call and talk to. So you ask him, how many of them there? Obviously, if clients were not happy, they will not end up on his reference list, right? So that's another good question to ask. And a third thing, clarifying question would be, can I speak to these people? That's very important. Unfortunately, guys, I don't know in my 30 years any better way of predicting the future. And what I mean by that, predicting, is this contractor going to do a good job for me? There's no better way than looking into the past. And looking into the past is talking to the past clients. Hey, how was your experience? Did he finish on time? Did he show up when he said that he would show up? Did the price change? Did the final result exactly what he said the final result would be? Were there any problems? How were they solved? So you ask specific questions. You don't ask, oh, are you happy with the contractor? Yeah, I'm happy, sure. No.
Can it depend on the reviews online, let's say?
I would say it's a good source for you to get a feeling about the company contractor. Reading the reviews. When you read a review, you get a sense whether it was written by a friend or a relative, or whether it was written by a client. You're smart enough to figure that out. You just see how people write. So yes, I would strongly, and it's easy way for you guys now to get an opinion about the company. Read the reviews. I would say that would be the first thing that I would do. Before even talking to the contractor and asking him a question, I would read his reviews, definitely. Anything else so far? All right, so once you pass that question and you see that, okay, looks like I might be in good hands here with this guy or girl, the next question I would ask, can the price change during the construction? Why it's important is that because our industry is so unregulated, unfortunately, it probably has the worst reputation of all. Yeah, go ahead.
Can it be a fixed price contract versus a variable price?
In my opinion, it should be fixed price. Although there is two models, some companies do it on time and material, and I can talk about that if you like, give you more input, but I believe it should be fixed. Yeah. So you're asking them, can the price change? Because unfortunately, many companies, they give a cheaper price just to get in the door, just to start the job. And I hear so many stories when a contractor gets into the job, does the demolition, and then he's gone. You know, because he got the job, right? Now he's looking after other jobs, not yours. And you can't replace him because if you get another contractor, it may cost you even more because you already gave him a deposit. So you are stuck, right? One thing. Another thing, contractor gives you a cheaper price and then he starts a job and then fun begins. They start bombarding you with change orders. Is anyone here who doesn't know what change order is? You don't know? Change order is something when contractor tells you, Mr. Client, I see a problem here, and it wasn't included in my price. It's going to be additional $10,000. Or you come to a contractor and say, hey, I thought that you were going to install this new baseboard here. And he goes, no, I wasn't supposed to do that. It's existing baseboard. If you want new, it's going to be change order. So additional price. Change order is an additional price. So that's the question you want to ask. How can my price change? Can it change? If it can, why? And how is it going to happen? Go ahead.
So in other words, before you have an agreement with a contractor, you better make sure every little thing that you want done is written.
Well, what do you think? What do you think? So you better. I mean, unless you're okay with change orders, sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But the thing is, to his point, in order to get everything on there, you almost have to be an expert on what it is, but you're not an expert. And to her point over here, you don't know what you don't know. So there could be many change orders without you even knowing.
That's right. Good. So the first question to get into this is to ask, can your price change, Mr. Contractor? If yes, why and how it's going to happen? That opens up that conversation, and you see what your contractor says. There are some contractors, like we say our price does not change. We guarantee it. Guaranteed. Done. It's written in the contract, that's our price in the beginning, that's the price at the end. Conversation is over. If you don't want to check that, you call our 7 pages of references and ask them, did their price change? But some other contractors don't say that. So that's why you need to ask that question, to see what they come back to you with. Okay? Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So next question that I would...
Sorry, I have a question related to that. So assuming to the earlier speaker, you're talking about interior design.
Sorry, I'll come closer because construction, I can't hear.
Sorry, so related to that, so assuming if you get a full specification from an interior designer, so you got everything all sketched out, everything laid out, all the materials, things like that, there should not be any change orders when the contractor is given to that detail.
I agree.
So that would be a benefit of
Yeah.
an interior designer versus kind of like, we'll put some tile on, but not have this.
I agree. If everything is clear, there shouldn't be, and that's the purpose of having a good design done. The more detail you have in a design, the less opportunity for change orders. But it's not only one component. Having clear design and drawings is good, but there's also needs to be investigation need to happen in your home. Inspection needs to happen. Suppose you have hardwood flooring on your main floor, and you want to replace it with white plank flooring. So design drawings can clearly tell you what flooring that is, how much it costs, where to get it from, and you think that, oh, it's good, perfect. Contractor gives you the price, but contractor needs to investigate, is your subfloor adequate for this new hardwood? Because what may happen, he will rip out the existing, then they will say, look, your subfloor is not strong enough to support this new hardwood, additional $5,000. Boom. So it's not only design, also inspections and investigations during the design. Make sense? All right. So the next question I would recommend you to ask, guys, is this is a really good question. Honestly, Mark did an awesome job explaining when you need building permits, when you don't need them. Asking that question. Do we need a building permit for our project? I'll tell you why it's important to ask. Whether you need it or not. In a nutshell, building permits are designed to protect you, not us, not the renovators. Contractors, just like any other people on this earth, nobody likes to have their work inspected, right? When you work and you're at work and your boss comes and looks over your shoulder, how does it make you feel? Same thing we feel when inspector comes from the city and inspects our work. We don't like that. Nobody likes that, having their work inspected. That's why many contractors, unfortunately, when you ask that question, they may say, no, you don't need a building permit. This project is simple enough. We've done it so many times, you don't need it. That will show you how concerned he is about you, whether he has your best interest in his mind. At least that will give you the indication. Because a good contractor, he will say to you, of course you need a building permit, because it will protect you, because it will make sure that whatever I do will be done properly and will last many years and will not give you any issues in the future. That's what a good contractor say. That's why asking that question to me is very important. Don't skip that. And in a very, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, question for you. Would the contractor, when the inspection is going to happen, would the contractor arrange the inspection to happen, or you as the homeowner have to call the inspector and arrange the time and then arrange the time with the contractor?
It will depend who will apply for building permits. If contractor applies, it's on contractor. If you apply as a homeowner, then contractor may ask you, hey, We're ready for inspection. Can you arrange for inspector? So really it depends on what your agreement with the renovator is. Gotcha. Okay. So building permits, very important. And just to simplify, guys, so that you can remember, if you are moving things around in your renovating, like a wall or a plumbing fixture, or if you're adding something, or if you're renovating your basement, you need building permit. Even if just a bathroom reno, but you're moving things around, you need permits. Okay? Everything else you don't need. If you don't change anything, if you don't move things around, but even to add a window in your house, you need a permit. Just so that you know. All right? Now, next question I would recommend you to ask is, what is your process for communicating with me during construction? Who's going to let me know of any changes, of any water shutdowns, power outages? Who's going to give me an update of what happened, what will happen next week? How are they going to give me this update? Are you going to text me? Are you going to call me? Are you going to email me? When are you going to do it? Are you going to do it in the morning, or are you going to do it at 2 o'clock in the morning? It's important to figure out how are we going to communicate during construction. If you have a question to me, how are you going to ask that? In what form? Are you going to just call me out of the blue when I'm in the middle of working with the client? Or is there going to be a preset time when we meet together and you give me an update of what's going on? Do we have regular meetings? Do we have regular phone calls? Who's going to make those phone calls? Is it you? Is it your project manager? Is it your site supervisor? Is it your foreman? Is it your subcontractor? Do I need to speak to subcontractor? What do I need to speak to subcontractor about? Like, figuring all these things out is very important if you want to eliminate stress, because this can be very, very stressful. When your contractor calls you 5 times a day, or he doesn't show up and he doesn't tell you that he's not going to show up, or if he texts you but you don't check your text messages, or if he emails you but you only check email once a day and you were not aware. So figuring that out, just to keep your sanity, that's a good thing to figure out. Communication process. Okay? And another question I would ask, guys, and this is what I see a lot of people that I meet, homeowners, they don't think about it because it's so remote, it's so far away. So they tend not to think about it, warranties. Because when the project is done, it's only half the battle. What happens after that? What happens when something needs to be adjusted? Something is not working, something is broken, something, I don't know. What happens after that? That's very important. You invest in a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort. So knowing up front what your contractor's warranty policy is, I recommend you to ask, because it's very crucial. Because like one gentleman today, he gave an example of his friend. Contractor doesn't decline anything, right? He just says, oh, I can't come today, I'll come tomorrow. My dog passed away, or my neighbor, right? That's right. As long as he doesn't say no, you can't do anything. So that what happens after warranties, when you need some leaky faucet fixed and your contractor is just takes half a year to tell him, yeah, I'm coming next week, but it's never happening. Or you're right, like, what do you do? Like, you're stuck. I hear these stories all the time because those clients call me then after that. So warranties, asking questions about warranties, it's very important. What's covered, what's not covered, what's your policy, how soon you're going to act, how do I submit the claim, how do I do? Do I call you, do I text you, do I email you, what do I do? You want to have clarity about that. Okay. So this is about questions. We have here a lot more questions to ask if you like. Like I said, these are questions that we've collected over 30 years. So it's a wisdom from other homeowners. So I would highly recommend you, if you're thinking of hiring a contractor, have this list and go through all of the questions with them. All right? Any questions so far?
So, you need a general contractor, great.
Sorry, I gotta come close.
So you meet someone like yourself, you know, you establish a great relationship, things like that. You hire the person, and then the project comes up, and all of a sudden you're working with someone else. Like, how do you avoid those type of situations where, you know, you may have like a salesperson, and then behind the scenes you get someone else who's doing the work. I mean, you hear horror stories. It says, yeah, I got like 30 years experience, and then the person shows up, oh, I was just hired yesterday.
Yeah. So,
how did,
what do you think? What do you think? How do you avoid that?
References, I don't know, like ask background checks as to their staff, you know, to see who there's on their team.
I think the easiest thing that you can do that's not going to cost you any money or time, asking contractor, whom am I going to be communicating during construction? Who is actually going to do the construction? Can I see this guy? Can I meet him? Do I get to talk to him before that actually happens? Do I get to know him? Ask that. Ask the contractor, who's going to do the work? Is it you, or is it your buddy, or is it somebody you just hire? Ask that question.
Can you put that in the contract though? Because I can ask for that, and then the contractor might say later on, oh, I have to change it.
My next topic is contract. So, but let's jump into that. Contract should be as detailed as possible. Just like design, the more detail you have, the less room for miscommunication, mistakes, frustrations, or disputes. But I also know that there is no contract that can 100% protect you from absolutely everything. It just doesn't exist. Unless maybe it's 500 pages, I don't know. But even that, there's always something that you forget to write down or talk about. That's why my recommendation to you guys is, to any homeowner, when you meet with contractors, try to get the feeling, is he going to have your best interest in mind or not? Not so much rely on a contract. It's necessary, you need to do it. But just feeling, is this contractor going to do what's best for me? Or is it going to do what's best for him? And that's the feeling you get after you ask these questions. If you don't ask these questions, you don't get that feeling. Ask them.
Gut feeling.
Gut feeling, yes. It's like marriage, you know? It is. For 6 months, for 3 months, you're marrying a contractor. You're going to be dealing with him every day. You're giving him a lot of money, right? Same thing you do with your wife, right? You know, you marry a woman, whatever's yours is hers now. And vice versa. So yeah, it's marrying. You got to have gut feeling. And you have to ask questions. Yeah, don't be lazy on that. Yeah, please.
One last question for me.
Oh, don't say that. Whenever somebody says that, it's never last question.
So, as a reasonable sanity check, I mean, I know it varies costs, things like that. So you go out, you get like 3-4 quotes. What's reasonable in terms of top to bottom? I mean, sometimes you get like one that's 100,000, others like 200,000. It's like 100% difference. What, in your experience, would be a reasonable range to say, okay, yeah, this person's, you know, of course there's finishes, things like that, but if you have like a design, the finishes, the materials should be in the same ballpark. So what would be like double the price? They're just gone. Like, is there any range, like you can say, is reasonable?
You see, that's the issue of our industry. Dentists, they all have price lists that is regulated by their association. They cannot charge more than prescribed. It's a beautiful thing. It's not like that in our industry. Anyone can charge anything they want, and what's reasonable, what's not reasonable, only you can decide. Because different contractors, they all bring different value. They all bring different services. You know, with one contractor, the project's gonna take a year. With another contractor, the project's gonna take 2 months. Should their price be different? Obviously, right? With one contractor, you get countless things to fix up after the project is done. Another half a year, he needs to fix little things here and there and over there. It's just never-ending story. And you can't live in your house and enjoy because they're constantly coming back to fix something. With the other contractor, you never call him back because everything is perfect. Are their price going to be different? Of course the price is going to be different. It was one contractor, he calls you 10 times a day about stupid things and he can't let you do your work. The other contractor, you never hear from them. Only when you have regular meetings and they give you update. Here's what's been done, here's the problems we discovered, this is how we fixed it, here's how what we're planning to do next week. Any questions? No. Any concerns? Good, thank you. Are their price going to be different? If you live in a house and a contractor renovating your home, sometimes I see projects like you come in and it's like a war zone. Materials all over the place, dust is everywhere, and the painter is painting and flooring installing the floor and paint drips on the floor, and it's like, oh my gosh, you can't walk. In the other job site you come in, everything is organized, clean. Every day it's vacuumed, dust barriers, HEPA filters that recycle air and captures 98% of particles. Are their price going to be different between these two companies? Of course it will be, right? So it all depends on the service of the contractor, the time and the quality and the process. That's why what's reasonable, it's really hard to say. It's really, once again, your gut feeling. I can only say if somebody gives you a really low price, I would worry. If somebody says I can start tomorrow, I would worry about that company. If somebody's price is top of the line, you know, you just compare what your other options are. And if, let's say, if you don't feel good about other options, well, you have a decision to make. Are you prepared to pay the top price, but to sleep well at night? It's your choice.
All right, thank you.
Mike Holmes, in his show, right, he has a lot of subcontractors that work with him. For this building here and the people that are in here, are they adhering to Mike Holmes' principles of building and contracting and subcontractors and all? Do they have that level of ethics and integrity of the work that they're doing when they're in here? Because that would make it easy for everyone to find somebody qualified.
Yeah, I wish I could say yes, but I cannot.
That should be something that everybody here adheres to.
Oh, it would have been nice. Yeah.
His name is on the front of the building. This is my first time here.
Yeah.
But it just blows my mind that there are no regulatory bodies. Blows my mind that I can't find a good contractor. Blows my mind the cost of having a project manager, a general contractor, a designer, an architect, because by then your bank account is just empty. Yeah. Instead of finding, there has to be a one-stop shop where you can find that level. So
maybe this will help you guys, and just so that you know, seems like you. Oh, well, thank you. There is a construction association. It's called BILD, B-I-L-D, BILD. It's the biggest association in North America, and about 12 years ago, they opened up a division that they call a Renomark accredited contractor. They have about 140, maybe I'm wrong now, it's been a while since I looked at the list, contractors that have the accreditation of Renomark. It means that they have to follow special conduct of ethics, they have to reply to each inquiry within 2 business days, they have to have warranty, they have to have liability insurance, and yada, yada, yada. Many criteria that they need to meet in order to be accredited. And starting this year, they have created a process for complaints. So if you're working with Renomark accredited and there is a complaint, you can go to the board of BILD, and they have a process for reviewing the complaints. So I don't know how much of that helped to you, but at least it's something. At least now you have someone you can complain to, and hopefully BILD can affect that contractor if they're not. Exactly. So if you check on that, whoever is Renomark accredited, that already gives you a good indication. They must be pretty good. They must be pretty good. Yeah.
The other thing that I've learned here this morning is that you almost have to be a project manager where you actually sit down and go through step by step. What are you doing? How long will it take? And you almost have to, you don't have that knowledge that, say, a bathroom reno guy would do or a kitchen reno guy would do. but you kind of almost have to know all of those things in order to get it written down step by step and to get a sign off.
Sorry, Mark.
That's the impression I'm getting, because like to that lady's point over there, you don't know what you don't know.
I guess if you don't have a contractor whom you believe will take care of everything, yes, you need to be an expert yourself. But it's like seeing a doctor. You know, if you know doctor is good, if doctor has good reputation, if this doctor helped many people around and he's known for that, you don't really need to know what he's doing, right? And why he's doing it. Why is he giving you this prescription or that prescription? You don't need to be expert, right? You just trust him. Okay, doctor, you giving me this pill? Okay, I'll take this if you say it will.
You still have to learn what that doctor is prescribing you.
But you need to learn about the doctor.
Yes.
That's what I'm recommending you. Learn about the contractor, not what he needs to do. Not like how to install this 2x4 this way or that way or that way. Learn rather about him. And then just give them the reins. They'll do a good job for you, just like they've done for many, 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 many people like you in the past.
Would the designer come into effect that? Like if she comes in and says, oh, you need this, you need this here, you need that there, yeah, then you have an idea that I need these details. Like I need the extra, baseboard height, 5-inch, or I need this and that. Would that kind of help you out to begin with?
I recommend everyone. I know this design. Someone asked today a question about the price for the design. It seemed pretty high. I understand it sounds high, but my recommendation to all of my clients is that getting the design right is 50% of the success. A good designer, first of all, can do several things for you that nobody else can do. First of all, designer can help you stay within the budget. Because it's so easy to blow any budget. Honestly, we can spend anything you want on renovations today. Designer can be a good steward of that, a budget policeman, to make sure that you don't blow your budget. That's number one. Number two, designer can help you avoid costly mistakes. Today designer said, if you move the window 2 inches, now you can have a TV. If you don't, now you have to move the window. It's going to cost you $10,000. That's right. So a designer can help you avoid these costly mistakes. The third thing designer can do is the designer can make sure that when everything is done, you are actually happy. Because in my 30 years, I've seen so many clients working with not such a good designers or thinking that they are good designers and not inviting designer. They would spend a lot of money. They would go through all these hardships with contractor, and then they don't like the result. They're disappointed. My backsplash doesn't look good with my countertop. It just doesn't match. Designers help you avoid that. So I would recommend all of you, yes, if a project's substantial, yes, get a designer. Sorry, I know I'm running out of time, right? Is that what you want to tell me?
Yes, we just have one more speaker waiting to present to you. That's all right.
Hi, thank you. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Wasim. We do construction, commercial mainly. We are specialized in the commercial construction. We do some residential, but some specific projects, not everything. I'm sorry, I will try to make it a little short because we are running out of time. So bear with me if I'm fast. My topic today is to talk about things that your GC wants you to know before you start the project. So the general contractor wants you to know some stuff before you start. It's not only asking, you have to ask him questions as they mentioned today, but he wants you also to know lots of stuff before you start. First of all, if you prefer to use your subcontractors. Sometimes you say, okay, I have my brother, he's a plumber, please, so we have to hire him, please, Mr. General Contractor. Or, I can do some drywall work, I can help you out. Please, use me, I want to save some money, okay? So, most likely the general contractor doesn't want to hear this a lot. And this will not help you out in saving money. Because it's like a time frame. I can say general contractor job is something similar to the car manufacturer, okay? So if you have a factory that produces tires, you cannot go to the dealership and ask him, okay, I want to buy this car, but I will bring my tires with me, okay? It's something similar to this. So you may try to avoid these kinds of askings, if you don't mind. One other thing is that general contractor also does not like you to do your job by yourself first, and then you ask him, I cannot finish the project, please come and save me, okay? Because when you start, most likely you are going to start with framing, okay? So if you don't put the studs in place properly, that means all the other trade after you is gonna suffer, okay? So you may end up starting the work from scratch using your general contractor. One other thing the general contractor wants you to know before you start is to pick your finishes, the tiles, the color of the paint that you wanna use inside your home. Because if you keep postponing these steps, he has a time frame, and he may end up asking you, where's your stuff? Where's the design? Where's the colors? I want to know this ahead of time. So if you don't prepare them from day one, you may end up interrupting the time frame of the contractor, and he may delay the whole job for like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, but because he's not gonna affect the other jobs that he's doing. One other thing the contractor wants you to know, it is the project of your life. It's your home. It's your investment of maybe your entire life. You are focusing on this investment, and you are doing your best to make this place look like a paradise. He knows that, but also the general contractor has a lot of customers like you. He will be dealing the same way with you. He will deal with the project as if it's his investment, because it's going to also affect his reputation if he doesn't do it well. But there is still a kind of difference between your feelings and his feelings, and you have to find yourself in the middle somewhere. For example, some customers, they think, we're not going to give the final payment until we make sure everything is done properly, 100%. They are right, 100%. They have to wait until they find everything is fine. But then, if the contractor is a very nice person, they start to ask more stuff. Okay, do this to me, I'm gonna pay you after you do this. There is something that I didn't like here. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't make me feel good, okay? So if you want to talk about criticizing, if you want me to criticize the best car in the world, I can. Like, I can spend some time and criticize it. So general contractor wants to hear your notes, and he's so happy to hear it. But when you keep asking him like things like for days and days and days, so the next project he's gonna do, he will be asking for more price for other customers, okay? Because he wants to make sure he's gonna cover all their needs, okay? And you will be contributing in increasing the price for other customers, and this is one of the outcomes. There are a lot of outcomes may happen also. Mainly, this is most of the stuff that general contractor wants you to know. And I have another topic here, talks about advices on budgeting for a large reno. So when you have a large renovation, how can you start? How can you think about how to finish this project properly? So I have many things here to say about this. First, split project execution into phases in order to have better control on the mission that you are going through. So ask your subcontractor, what are the phases that you are doing, okay? When you are going to finish the framing, when you are going to finish every step, he's going to tell you, he's going to give you the time frame, the full time frame of the job. But always if you have a big renovation, big job, ask for breakdown for each phase. Because if you want to stop at a certain point, you know how much he owes. Okay, let's say the project cost you 200K, okay? It contains framing, drywalling, plumbing, etc., electric work. If you decide to stop in the middle of the work, how can you know how much you have to pay him? So you need to divide this process into phases. Otherwise, there will be like a kind of maybe, I don't know what to say. It could go sometimes to the court. It could go sometimes to the third party. So you don't want this to happen. So always try to divide the project into phases and ask the contract to make breakdown for each phase. Don't make more than 5 phases, but always make sure that there's a price for each phase. Please, general contractor, you did a great job. Just finish this phase for me. I will pay it off, and that's it. That's it. We're going to stop here. $200,000, he may ask you for like $100,000 if he just did the framing. He say, oh, this is costing you $100,000. What can you say if you don't have the breakdown mentioned? Okay. Focus on budgeting to add equity to your project. For example, if you want to add equity to your project, you have to focus on stuff that adds equity. For example, I heard from one of the clients, he wants to cancel one of the rooms. He has 4 rooms. He wants to make 3 rooms instead and make 1 room as a walk-in closet. Okay? This is maybe good for you, but if you want to sell the house in the future, it's not going to add value. It may make less value. So you may end up spending like $200,000 on the project, and then at the end, you're not adding any value to it. Okay? Maybe if you do washroom renovation, it's going to be better for you and keep the same amount of rooms. If you want to add more room, it's even better, okay? Because after getting the permit, for sure, you have to check the permits first, as they mentioned today, and then do the job that adds an equity to your project, okay? I think I'm going to stop here, because we are out of time. So I'm ready for your questions. By the way, I just want to add something. As we focus on commercial projects, during COVID, we didn't work a lot. So we had to come up with some new ideas. So we came up with the dome idea. We have it in our showroom here, 286 and 287. And the dome is going to show now. We do sell this dome as well for backyards, for restaurants. We came up with this idea because we have plenty of time to come up with some unique products like this. So anyone can add this product to the backyard, or even to have, if you have a commercial project, you can add it to the restaurants. Please, go ahead. Yes?
Yes, so you're talking about contracts. Is there any, I guess, normal practice that have exit points? So you're working with a general contractor. Things are not going well. So maybe after phase 1, phase 2, it's like, you know what, the relationship is not working.
Yeah.
Can we break the contract? Is there any kind of clauses or practices like that in contracts?
Yes, for sure. There is a lot of clauses. That's why I asked you to divide the work into phases. So if you are in phase 2, in the middle of phase 2, you have only $1,000 left. It's better than having like $110,000 left. So you can know, I'm going to stop this phase. You can add a clause inside the contract saying if the client wants to terminate the contract at any phase, he will be able to. So that's one of the solutions.
Right, thank you.
Yeah. Any other question?
You know, you mentioned the dome.
Yes.
Is that heated as well?
Pardon me?
Is that heated? Like, is that?
Yes, you can add a fireplace to it, and you can add an AC unit to it. Okay.
So that's a permanent fixture?
That's a permanent fixture. It can go up to 15 years.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's made from polycarbonate. This material is unbreakable. It won't crack. Yeah, no problem. Pardon me? The size that we have now is 12 feet diameter. So the almost 12, it's 11.8. And the area is about 108 square foot. So for the permit, it's okay. They're gonna pass it because you can say it's a shed. Okay, for the shed you can build up to 100, 110 square foot. So, and it has no frames. So we have installed this in many places, and we had no issues with the city because it's less than 100, 110, between 100 and 110 square foot. Okay. Any other questions?
How much is the dome?
So the dome is now 11K. We have also a financing program for it without interest, so you can install it today and pay next year. So without any interest, yeah.
Yes, the dome looks amazing. Can we take it and move it if we wanted to?
Yes, you can, but you may expect a little bit of scratches may happen. You can do, we have a way to remove fine scratches, but if you want to do this, it's gonna cost you like, either you have to do it by yourself with assistance of someone, or you have to pay like $1,000 for us to do it. It's gonna take us like almost 2 days to finish this move.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other question?
Don't be considered a rental unit?
A what?
Don't be considered a rental unit?
I heard this a lot. Don't quote me on this. Yes, maybe. Yeah, maybe. On Airbnb, you can rent out your property on Airbnb, and you can rent out also the dome. So why not? Yes. So if you buy it today, pay next year, you may end up having the money, in your pocket before the time comes. Yeah. One of the other methods that you can use to guarantee that the contractor is going to do the full job, you may also do, like we do also financing for contracting jobs, for residentials only. We're trying to have it for commercial, okay? So we do the financing without adding any interest. So if the financing company is the third party. So when you find a third party who you can say your complaints to, like for example, if you had any issues, you can call the financing company and tell them that general contractor is not doing the job well. So please don't finance him don't give your services to him for the other projects. So this could be one of the options that can help you out. Like not all the contractors, they have it, but I'm just adding some options to your list. Sorry. Any other questions? No? Thank you. Thank you very much.